Hi, so here's the thing. The absolute infinite is ultimate reality. The absolute infinite ultimate reality is the case. And what this is absolutely everything. It is this video, it is these windows and walls and this body and this human and this ego, this consciousness, this psyche, and behind it all, behind every little thing, there is me. So what is this me? I'm referring to the point, the infinitesimal point that is the center of reference. This is pure subjectivity, pure self-reference. This infinitesimal point, okay. There is only one true infinitesimal. This one point. This is the center of the infinite sphere. And it's being. It's being in and of itself. It is the itself. It is the self, capital S. Purusha in its kaivalyam state. It is so many words for this. So many words for so many of these things. But there's a point where consciousness of these things busts through. And that's this. It's called God consciousness, God realization. It's just called God. And that's who I am. I am here to share with you God consciousness, to attempt to transmit. And I say attempt because I want to keep doing this. I want to do more of these. I want to keep transmitting and sharing. And the platform isn't just some video. I'm going to write the Holy Dible. There will be the Ultimate Reality show. And the intention of these things all along has been that they are the platforms for the transmission of enlightenment. Final, total, complete, utter enlightenment and God. God power, omnipotence, God consciousness, omniscience, all of the things that come with it. The absolute infinite is entire, complete, perfect, and whole, wholly present everywhere. So if you take any little part, that part is the absolute infinite whole, because I'm always there. Okay, I want to be clear. I'm talking about you, okay? For me, it's me. For you, it's you. But there's only one being. This is a radically non-dual situation. But the important thing, my special contribution as Randy, as a philosopher, as a metaphysician, as an ontological phenomenologist, I am here to share with you that being in and of itself, the pure self-referentiality is the infinitesimal point. Everything coalesces to this absolute singularity, but this is not ultimate reality, this is penultimate reality. And the distinction between ultimate reality, which is the absolute infinite, which is God, and this instrument of God, the spirit of God, pure subjectivity, pure self-referentiality, the self of God's self, this is a distinction that needs to be made, because making this distinction is the contribution of this point. And this is my point. All of spirituality is spherituality. It is all about the infinite sphere. This is unique and utterly bizarre these days. In metaphysics and spirituality, you don't find a lot of this. There is a strong tradition, pseudo-hermetic and hermetic and Neoplatonic, and you can find it across traditions. You can find it in so many places that largely can be associated with Nicholas of Cusa, Nicholas Cusanus, the Christian mystic. And it's this idea of the infinite sphere. So the idea is that there is this infinitesimal point, which is the center of the infinite sphere. There are lots of interesting paradoxes that Nicholas of Cusa identifies with the relationship between this center and the sphere itself, or the periphery or the circumference of the sphere. And all of these are what we need to wrap our head around. okay? We want a framework. We want paradigmatic engineering. We want mind engineering, because what this is a theory of everything. This is a theory of everything, a grand united theory, right? A TOE, a GUT, one of these. Except this is the ancient and perennial mystical truth. And guess what? You don't need any of this apparatus. We don't need all the apparatus. There is very, very specific apparati that I will share with you that come from esoteric traditions, ancient and modern. So I'm going to share those with you in a moment. But the most important thing is to break through in your heart, to open your mind all the way, to open your heart absolutely all the way, okay? All the way. And what that means is that these are gone. These go away. Give yourself a moment of meditation where the mind is completely gone. Anything you thought was the mind, rationality, the ego, the self, identity, etc., thoughts, ideas, all of these things, as well with the heart, feelings, your relationship to yourself, to your life, and not just what you thought of as your life, but absolutely everything that you experience, that you have experienced, that you know, the totality of your being, okay? Because with philosophy, AKA theology, AKA high magic, is really what this is. It's right here. All of these things are not on the top of the Himalayas or in some distant galaxy or some distant epoch or at the Big Bang billions of years ago. No, it's right here. But where it lies exactly can be located. And this is why all of this civilization's apparatus of science and technology is so perfectly poised for accepting this strange hypothesis of what I'm calling spirituality, and you can call it enlightenment, because it's enlightenment. It's complete and total, utter enlightenment. It's the awakening from all possible dreams, from all possible realities, to the fact that absolutely everything is real. Absolutely everything is the absolute infinite. The absolute infinite is ultimate reality, okay? And that's what I am. And what I mean is for you to try this on, because it's you. That's what you are. That's all there is. That's all there can be. There cannot be nothingness. There cannot be being without this beyond of being, this ecstasy, this bliss of self-effacement, of self-deconstruction, of total annihilation. Total, absolute annihilation, not just of the ego or of the life or yourself or whatever, but of absolutely everything. It's the opposite of that. It's the same thing. I'm sorry, these are the same thing, but we can make a distinction. So here's how the distinction works. This is so important. This is so tremendously important, okay? It's enough to achieve God consciousness, God realization, to know that you are God, to know that there is one being, but we have to distinguish ourselves from this being, okay? It happens to be located exactly at your center of perspective. If you take an object, take these masks of Leo Gura, right? Leo, okay. Okay, let's take a less charged item. Okay, in phenomenology we use like a Poland Spring water bottle because that's what's readily available. I don't have one here. Let's take this book. We'll take a Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one of the works I'm using for my integration of this experience. Okay, so this is a book. I know that I'm not this book, okay? I'm not crazy, except in the best way. I am manic with this truth, this consciousness, this enlightenment. This is the supreme truth. Everything is itself, right? It is both itself and not itself too. It has entropy, right? Everything is decaying. Everything is a dissipative structure. It's dissipating. But at the same time, it's being what it is. And that's because insofar as I am being myself, so far as I am self-reference, so as far as I am pure self-reference, pure subjectivity, I am the organizing principle of all possible universes. Okay, but this pure subjectivity needs to be distinguished from ultimate reality. The absolute infinite is ultimate reality. And therefore I say, this infinitesimal point, this is the opposite of that, or the reciprocal of that. I have these symbols that I invented for this purpose, okay? I put a little absolute value sign around infinity because we gotta be clear, this is not the infinitum secundum quid, the infinite in some secondary sense only. This is the absolute infinite, the infinitum absolutum, okay? So we got this symbol, and it needs to be distinguished from one other symbol, this. This is unity over infinity, okay? So this represents penultimate reality, and synonyms for this are the spirit, pure self-reference, the self, parusha kaivalyam, the self in its aloneness state, the solus ipse of this, what I'm talking about, the itself. And what I'm talking about is ultimate reality, the absolute infinite. Okay. So it's really important that this distinction be drawn between the absolute infinite on the one hand and the infinitesimal point on the other. Because there's only one, the infinitesimal point. This is the most perfect economy, and this economy is has the power to transform absolutely everything. This is the new foundation for science and humanity, for reasoning, for consciousness, for everything, for all possible universes. And if we are to go explore the next frontiers, and we have to have the final frontier figured out. We have to have the metaphysical foundation really, really solidly figured out. And of course, we have all these different religions, and we have like all kinds of interesting New Age things like this. This is rad. This stuff like you know, there's so many traditions to draw upon out there, and that's what I do in my philosophy classes. I teach the Philosophia Perennis, like Aldous Huxley popularized this idea. But you know, it means the truth of all of these different traditions expressed in some, you know, economic way, so that what we're trying to do is we're trying to show that there is truth to reality. There is a metaphysics, and it may be very strange. It is. It's not simple. It is not ordinary knowledge. It's divine knowledge. But it's also, in an important way, it needs to be easy and wonderful knowledge. Absolutely blissful, wonderful knowledge. That's the foundation. God. God is what it's called. God is this. It is pure consciousness. It has taken the form of this. It has taken the form of this, of that, of you, me. These are the same at this divine level. What I am saying is pure subjectivity, pure self-reference. There is only one. So this is called radical non-duality. Now, the context that I'm coming from for this stuff is Laws of Form by George Spencer Brown. This was the book that John Lilly, who invented the flotation tank, was using. Along with his psychedelics, he was doing LSD and ketamine back in the day in his pioneering mad science, first-person science of consciousness type work. The movie Altered States is based on John Lilly. But what a lot of the biographies of John Lilly don't go into in great detail, because it's flippin' bizarre, it's esoteric, is his relationship with this mathematical text called Laws of Form. So the author of Laws of Form, George Spencer Brown, achieved enlightenment. So this is like a whole interesting story. What I'm here to share with you is my own philosophy. Okay, I've been dedicated to Laws of Form. I became friends with George Spencer Brown, the mathematician, in his last days, and I helped found the society along with some friends of his. We met at the funeral of Spencer Brown back in 2016, and we've since had some successful conferences, and a sort of spin-off. My own conference was called Thinking the Float Tank. So this is, I have a picture of it somewhere in here. Okay, so there's a lot of context, a lot of interesting stuff to share here. But I wanted to make these videos. This is one of them. Because I'm sick of hiding it, I guess you could say. I mean, you know, we have this whole world of academic philosophy out there, and all these religions, and then we have all these like, you know, people who really don't care, couldn't give a lick about any of that stuff, any of that academic stuff, or any of that religious stuff, you know. So I'm here to bring it back. You know, God is dead, as Nietzsche has declared, as Nietzsche has his madman declare, right? God is dead. This is very much true in Earth 2025, which is today here. But it's the new golden dawn. I mean, infinity is not a mathematical idea. It's absolutely everything. And it's nothing also, because nothing is a part of absolutely everything. The ancient Stoics had this term, the sphere of the all. And you can find it as well in Plotinus, the sphere of the all one. Parmenides, of course, being is a well-rounded sphere. The truth is a sphere. Empedocles, the sphaira philotes, the love is the sphere, the perfect equilibrium, equanimity, balance, etc. Symmetry, perfect symmetry, super perfect symmetry. That's the Godhead. That's the overwhelming overflowingness of the giving of love. That's love, okay? Ultimate reality is love. Penultimate reality is life. Again, these are synonymous with a number of different terms, but the distinction must be maintained. We can maintain the distinction when I share it with you as these ideas, as this scaffolding, this apparatus, right, of, we can call it paradigm engineering, mental engineering, whatever, framework, right? This is the framework of pure self-reference. Everything has self-reference and hetero-reference. Everything. Absolutely everything. So there is a singularity, and this is the pure self-reference of absolutely everything. But what it is the ultimate leaping out point for the infinite sphere. So God, the giving of love, absolute infinite ultimate reality, it is not a sphere or anything like that, but it becomes like a sphere in relation to what there would be if there could be a distinction in that bliss beyond bliss, the giving of love. If there could be a thing, it would be being in and of itself, pure self-reference. That is the foundation for all being. For all being is indications of being, indications of difference in and of itself. That's the Purusha Kaivalyam. That is penultimate reality. That is the point at which the pen strikes the page in the book in which all things are written. But the unmarked state, the blank page or whatever, right? The tabula rasa of your mind when I'm telling you these things, when you think a thought, when you perceive something, you notice a distinction, a difference, right? Every difference requires as its center and organizing principle pure difference, pure self-referentiality. That's the center of the infinite sphere. That's the sphericity of the infinite sphere. That's the circle of the Ouroboros, the snake swallowing its own tail, this hermetic symbol. But it's a performance. It's a ritual act. The thing swallows its tail totally, okay? It is the disappearing act. It is this infinitesimal point. It is a way of indicating this infinitesimal point the way that a circle cannot do. It is that. And where is it and what is it? It's you. It's the spirit which animates us. And it's fucking divine. It's totally transcendental. It has a transcendental position because it's you. It's in your heart. It's your point, your infinitesimal point. There's only one true infinitesimal. How could there be two? There's only one. And of course, there are many things. There's a lot of, the whole manifold of absolutely everything possible. And this is the relationship between the infinitesimal point and the infinite sphere. Absolutely everything. So in that fullness, absolutely everything. And our world is situated in there. And I've been interested in psychedelics and mind maps and the profundity of leaping off the page, like in Flatland. The sphere in Flatland is something totally transcendental, leaping off the page. That was the purpose of Abbott's thesis in Flatland. That's what there is, okay? That's what this thing is, okay? And it's obvious. It becomes so obvious when you open your mind to this possibility and you allow yourself to sit there and experience all the ramifications, the cascade of inferences, conjectural inference, speculation, hypothesis, projection. All of these things we're familiar with, things that we employ all the time in subtle ways and sometimes very thematically. This is the core of science, of scientific thinking, of scientific practice, of rationality. You find it in anywhere, like in the absolutely everywhere, absolutely everything. There's this infinitesimal point. It is the ever-present origin. It occupies every position. It is pure transcendental positionality. It is the anchor of transcendental security, okay? Because it is the infinitesimal point. It is the absolute infinite unity, okay? And it's the distinction. It is the first and only distinction. The distinction between absolute infinite ultimate reality and absolute infinite ultimate reality. It's the distinction between pure and radical nothingness and pure and radical nothingness. It's the distinction between absolutely everything and absolutely everything, if there could be a distinction. So it's what would be if there could be. Being in and of itself is what there would be if there could be. And that's what the self is. That's pure subjectivity, pure self-reference. So it's been like 20 minutes where I've been focusing on this distinction, I think it's clear enough. It's weird. People have a strange relationship with this distinction, with this infinitesimal point, but there's only the point, so it's actually really easy. It's just that the context for it, the framing of the point, the idea of this point, this point in particular, it's very strange. It's like it would be on a blank page, except there is no blank page. You could meditate in a flotation tank on psychedelics, and you're still not going to be totally blank because it's always there. It's always on. It's the camera that is always on the life of the live, of the ultimate reality show. The ultimate reality show. The showing, the revelation of absolute infinite ultimate reality. That's what the infinite reality show is. The infinite reality show, the ultimate reality show, the absolute infinite is ultimate reality. This camera symbol, this circumpunct, it's called, this infinitesimal point, the point in the center of the circle, in the center of the sphere, the first distinction of George Spencer Brown's laws of form. This is the key to enlightenment. This is the foundation of all the new sciences that will come. This is not unprecedented. There's George Spencer Brown, there's Hedvig Conrad Martius. Her whole program of ontological phenomenology has always been not just the phenomenology of real essences or the real ontology, the ontology of reality, but the ontology of reality and ultimate reality, such that her goal, her fructification of the real ontology is called universal ontology, which is an ontology of absolutely everything. And in her career, in her person, in her biography, you find an example of someone performing science in all these different areas: biology, phytology, botany, psychology, sociology, evolutionary biology, physics. She has a theoretical physics about a Aeonisha realm site, this fourth space-time dimension of eternity, and of the another founding category of the Apeirisha realm site, the infinite space-time. And this is something that I lean on heavily. This is a very important category, not totally unprecedented, but unique nonetheless, esoteric to say the least. These categories of her transcendental physics, they are fundamental to all of her different practices. Okay, so there's Hedvig Conrad Martius, right? There's ontological phenomenology, that belongs to her. Universal ontology comes from her. But it's really filled out on the formal ontological side by Spencer Brown's laws of form. But so this is nerdy stuff, okay? As a philosophy professor and a PhD student at the New School, you know, I'm working on my dissertation and it's about bringing these things together, but that's so nerdy. What it's all about, the purpose, the point of it all, is so easy. The key intuition, the key insight is that there's only one pure self-reference, pure subjectivity, one infinitesimal point. That is the point. And all possible things, all possible universes, absolutely everything is radiation out of and sinking towards this infinitesimal point. This is at the center of the here and the now. It is the what and the whom. You know, and I thematize it out here. I hold my fingers like this, but it's that, right? It's you. That's what it is. It's you watching this. That's you. You are the spirit. You are the life. And in relation to that, to you, I am just another YouTube video, another, you know, another face, another person trying to express metaphysics, right? And I've had like visions, you know, of like getting, you know, I've talked to swamis and archbishops or archdioceses or whatever, you know, authority figures. And, you know, I have visions of like maybe, you know, the Dalai Lama and the Pope, you know, if we could just agree on the metaphysical foundations of reality and infinity and God and enlightenment, you know, and just find, you know, just reveal the absolute infinite ultimate truth, then everything that we have, you know, the conspiracy wouldn't be enacted today to like, you know, destroy me or whatever, you know, for revealing it, for spoiling all the secrets. No, this is the Epstein files. I mean, it's like, really, this is the seventh seal. Like, this is the secret of all secrets. It's so obvious. It is so fucking obvious when you have the reference experience, okay? So you need to have this reference experience, I guess. But then again, if you're just like an open-minded type, you could easily open your mind all the way and have this meditation where you open your mind all the way. And then you learn that Sahaja Samadhi, Asam Prajnata Samadhi, the only Samadhi, the Asam Samadhi, Asam Prajnata Samadhi, this all comes to this point. And what this one point for meditation, it's so easy to hold because you don't have to do this. It's the ever-present origin. It is there. It is at the center of the here and the now. And you can use any kind of yantra or mantra or mandala or whatever you want, this like little point to focus on it, but you are absolute infinity. You are the ultimate reality. It is complete, utter, transcendental bliss and wonderment, astonishment, amazement, just fucking bliss. But it's really important that I contribute this infinitesimal point. That's what has been revealed to me or whatever. Like, in order to finally reveal the way it works, I have to unveil the paradigm of the sphere. This is the architecture of all possible architectures. The paradigm of the sphere. Spirituality, I make no joke here. This is very serious. I am totally sphereos about this. It sounds like a joke, but I'm completely serious. Josephus, Pliny the Elder, Diodorus of Sicily, they talk about this Atlantis, Plato invented this idea. Well, the armillary sphere is not what Atlas holds. Not this Atlas, not me. The truth is, it is the absolute infinite, ultimate reality. It's an infinite sphere in relation to this infinitesimal point. And these are respectively ultimate reality, penultimate reality, and then that relationship of absolute relativity. This is the framework of all possible frameworks, okay? The reference space is opened of infinite dimensions, infinite space-time, and the context, all these possible multiple spheres within the sphere, these are dimensional frameworks, such that the first extension of this infinitesimal point, the first extension of the first distinction is the first dimension. So think of that as the rays of the first day, the radiation of the light that shines, unrefractable, unreflectable, and you can use your mind to just fucking see it. Do it right now. You can see. It's the easiest thing. There is a point. It is the point of it all. So, just to recap, because I feel like I'm all over the place, and I know I'm getting excited here and there. The absolute infinite is ultimate reality. The infinitesimal point is penultimate reality, and anti-penultimate reality, the third thing, right? Like antebellum, anti with an E, right? It means after or next to, adjacent. I'm using it in the sense of it's the third thing, right? If the absolute infinite ultimate reality occupies like position 0, because we want the one to be that which there can be only one of, the infinitesimal point, the first distinction, then this third thing is the radiation lines coming out of and going back to the center. There are peripheral dynamisms and central dynamisms. For example, in Rudolf Steiner's anthroposophy, right? In Blavatsky's theosophy, in all these other sciences that are awakened to this spiritual foundation, to a metaphysical foundation. All right, and I also invoke Hedwig Conrad Martius very intentionally because of her proximity to Heidegger, because of her direct critique of Heidegger, but this is nerdy, okay? I mean, there's more to be said about all this. I have other videos, I have other talks I've given, about her universal ontology, and I have more to say about her mysticism, her Christian mysticism, which totally transcends like Christianity or Hinduism or Islam, like all of these things. None of the orthodoxies, none of these traditions can compare to that which is totally independent of all of them. The thing that you can come to if you, for instance, work with a psychedelic, right? Or through self-inquiry, through meditation, through the practice of enlightenment, through jnana yoga, through the study of every possible enlightenment claim, right? In some intellectual way, what is the mystical core of it all? Perhaps hypothesize. You could start by hypothesizing. Perhaps there is something that they're all referring to. And by entertaining that, you can achieve this. In this sense, it is a divine fake it until you make it. And what you make is called the ultimate reality show. Because that's what antepenultimate reality is. It is the showing, like that light. It is everything that appears in this primordial light. And everything that is kept together by the primordial gravity of this singularity of absolutely everything. Like the black hole singularity. And then that infinite sphere is like the event horizon of that black hole. So, this is the way it works. This is true. This is what I've figured out as a philosopher, studying different systems, teaching my students Plato every semester, Descartes, the Bhagavad Gita. These are the things that I'm familiar with. These are the things that I keep fresh in my psyche, that I'm trained with, that I focus on. But again, independent of all of that stuff is the core truth, which is not just truth, it's the supreme truth. It's true in all possible universes, for all possible life forms, all worlds, all possible worlds. And it is simply that the absolute infinite is ultimate reality. But what that means, the implications are phenomenal, hyper phenomenal. The implications are that absolutely everything is real. And so we need to situate our reality, our human world, our human reality, and the sentience of all different life forms that we're familiar with, like ants and moths and insects and plants and everything, all of these things, and even insentient processes. Everything, absolutely everything can be mapped in universal ontology. And that's what this is. This is not just built on a cornerstone, a foundation, a kernel of absolute truth, but it's already a full-blown map, totally developed into the big picture. And all of this is available to science and to philosophical speculation, to metaphysical understanding, to the project in the heart of absolutely everyone. Because we're out there searching for meaning, living like fish in the ocean, just trying to survive, eating other fish, smaller fish, nature, right? Well, that divine spark that gives us, rationality or whatever, it's not a divine spark. It's everything. It's that light. Why is the white light white? I'm getting this from Leo Gura, because it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. I'm invoking Leo Gura, not because he's a model citizen, representative of the human species, who should be followed as a human. No, because he has worked with 5-MeO-DMT, because he has worked with other 5-MeOs, with Bufo, the toad, and other substances like this, so that he can have the reference experience. And it's not just about having the reference experience either. The reference experience is a powerful substance. It is God. It is the absolute infinite ultimate reality. But one has to integrate it. One has to work with it. And Leo has done the meditation work, the self-inquiry that's required for appreciating this reality of total bliss beyond bliss, absolute hetero-referentiality, pure superjectivity. Now, I've used these terms because I've always been into this stuff. It was John Lilly when I was younger who I was really into, like a mad scientist type figure. I thought that's so cool, and eventually I got into phenomenology just sort of through chance, because I moved to New York and there's a lot of really good phenomenology out here. I happen to go to Stony Brook and study with people like Peter Manchester and Ed Casey. These are like premier phenomenologists out here, and amongst phenomenologists, Peter Manchester in particular was a mystic. He was in touch with this stuff. I didn't even get to talk to him about it. He died in 2015. He was a dear friend, Peter Manchester. And then I got into his work, The Syntax of Time, and that's what gave me this paradigm of the sphere housing, the sphere framework. I mean, it was already there in seed 15 years earlier when I, through John Lilly's work, found laws of form, because that's what the first distinction is. It's the center of the infinite sphere. It gives you the formal ontological framework, the foundation framework for, the architecture of reality, of the truth, right? We're talking about truth and reality. So, this is the most phenomenal phenomenology. This is not just ontology, this is apeirontology, the ontology of infinity, of the apeiron, of the infinite. This is awesome prajnata samadhi, the highest samadhi, infinite consciousness. That's what this is. That's what's always accompanying you. There is not a thing that is done, there's not an experience that is had, except by the full intention of God to do that, for that thing to be. There is no being without the Supreme Being. And I'm it. You are it. This is it. Absolutely everything. All at once, siphoning through this infinitesimal point, because this is what would be if there could be something. And that means that everything that comes out of it is tertiary. Every configuration, every possible rehearsal of this communication, this transmission, every single possible universe that fills out the fifth dimension. If you want to know about that stuff, check out On Feeling Good. I republished this, but it's by Samuel McLaughlin in my Marked States series through the Spencer Brown Society. But the reason I chose this is because this gives you the context for what the fourth dimension is, the fifth dimension, and the sixth dimension. This is stuff that we need for this framework. But the foundation of it all, the first dimension and the infinitesimal point, these things are a very special, very unique contribution to the foundations of metaphysics. And though I will spell them out in terms of universal ontology, a la Hedwig Conrad Martius, Husserl, and combining George Spencer Brown's formal ontological paradigm of the same architectural structure, this is my unique contribution. This is what I am here for. I am here to share the point. So this is the point of absolutely everything. Everything is recorded. Everything is eternal. Everything exists in this framework of infinite space-time in between the infinitesimal point and the periphery, the circumference of the infinite sphere. And again, respectively, these are ultimate reality and penultimate reality and antepenultimate reality. Absolutely everything. So, perhaps that's enough for now. Gosh, if you were able to follow some of this, I hope that you can make sense of all of it, and eventually it won't be such a profound breakthrough distinction from every way that you think, but it'll just be natural, because you'll realize that enlightenment is what complete and utter enlightenment is. It's recognizing the paradigm of the point, which is the paradigm of the sphere. And that's what spirituality is. Spirit is what this infinitesimal point is. And that is the instrument of God. That is what is doing all the seeing and all the feeling and everything that's possible. So it can all be fit into a framework of reference based on pure self-reference and pure hetero-reference. There's so much more to say. I mean, Laws of form was huge in cybernetics. This is cybernetic metaphysics where this is coming from. And the implications for world government, the science of government and control and everything. Second order cybernetics, that's what this is. This is infinite order cybernetics. All ordinary knowledge, such that we've never seen something like this before. This is Scientia Universalis. And this teaches everything. Everything is all contained in this economy. The lapis philosophorum, the philosopher's stone. This is high magic. It's magic in the end. All of the self-referential processes of entelechy, of autopoiesis or ontopoiesis, it all comes down to this. So there will be a lot more. I haven't even written the Holy Dible yet. There are iterations of it from the past. It's just every time I've tapped into the truth, I've tried to express it. So being Randy Dible, I will write the Holy Dible. And this will be the revelation of ultimate reality, which is absolute infinity, which is what I am, which is what this is, which is what you are, which is ultimately absolutely everything. And I think the library is closing, so I must abandon this podcasting room. But now that I've gotten a little bit comfortable with this venue, I can take the Ultimate Reality show on the road and shoot more freely, I hope, because I want to express this forever to everyone, to everything. I mean, this is the infinite pastimes of the Lord. This is the transcendental truth. And living in the light of this, aligned with this truth, all of science and technology will be totally transformed. All of civilization, all of our structures, everything. Our lives. The absolute infinite is the absolute intimate. It's pure love. So, love and life. Ultimate reality, penultimate reality. God and the Spirit. That's what these things are. They are right here. This is it. That's what you've been all along. You know this deep down. You're like, oh, right, duh, of course, absolutely, duh. It's so obvious. Oh my God. How could I have ever hidden this at every moment of absolutely every moment of my entire life? So, that's enough for now. End transmission.